Nobody's born a smart rider. You might think you're doing everything right until your bike spits you off, your wallet's empty, or you're stuck on the side of the road thinking, why the hell didn't anyone warn me about this? So today we're skipping the basics and going straight to the real stuff. The rules I wish someone had punched into my helmet years ago. The stuff you only learn by messing up. But you're smarter than that. You're gonna learn them before they bite you. Let's go. First one's a beauty. Number 1. Don't trust a torque wrench you bought for $19.99. There's something satisfying about torquing bolts to spec. Makes you feel like a real mechanic. Click, done, next. But here's the thing. That budget torque wrench you snagged from the discount bin, it's about as reliable as weather apps in the mountains. I learned this one the hard way when I torqued my oil drain bolt to the exact spec, only to watch it strip out like I'd cranked it with a breaker bar. Why? Because that cheap torque wrench was off. By a lot. Turns out calibration matters, and the cheap ones aren't even close. The rule? Don't treat torque like a suggestion, but don't trust junk tools either. If your torque wrench feels like a toy or costs less than dinner, it's probably garbage. Spring-style clickers need calibration. Beam-style ones are only good if you can actually read the scale. And digital ones? Great, if they're from a brand that's heard of accuracy. This matters most on things like axle pinch bolts, brake caliper mounts, handlebar clamps, stuff that holds you upright. Under-torque it and it comes loose. Over-torque it and it cracks, warps, or strips the threads out of something expensive. You don't need a NASA-level toolkit, but for the critical stuff, spend a little more. Or better yet, learn the feel of proper tension with a real wrench and your brain, because there's nothing worse than trusting a tool that lies to your face, especially when it takes your threads with it. Number 2. Don't let chain slack turn into a suspension nightmare. You probably heard check your chain slack 100 times, but what nobody tells you is why it matters so damn much. Until you bottom out your suspension and feel your drivetrain lurch like it just hit a brick wall. See, that slack isn't just about how loose the chain looks in your garage. It changes as your suspension compresses. When you sit on the bike, it tightens. Hit a bump mid-corner, it tightens even more. And if you didn't leave enough room in that chain to flex with the swing arm travel, congratulations. You just turned your drivetrain into a rigid bar. Best case, it wears your sprockets and your chain out twice as fast. Worst case, it yanks on the output shaft bearing, stresses your transmission, and jerks your rear tire when you need it planted the most. Ever feel like your throttle response is weird when you hit a dip in the road? That's probably your chain playing tug-of-war with your rear axle. The rule? Check slack with the rider on the bike. Or if you're solo, compress the suspension manually to see where the chain tightens up. Don't just go by the number in the manual blindly. Understand what that number means with your weight, your preload, and your swing arm geometry. Too much slack feels sloppy. Too little becomes dangerous. It's a balance, and if you ignore it, your bike will punish you for it with every mile. Number 3. Stop thinking it's just a little oil leak. Look, I get it. You spot a tiny drip onto your bike and think, it's old, it seeps, no big deal. And maybe it isn't, for a while. But oil leaks have a funny way of turning from character into catastrophe the moment you stop paying attention. That little leak you ignored, it's not just cosmetic. It could be oil slowly soaking into your rear tire tread, making it slipperier than a politician on live TV. It could be hitting your hot exhaust and turning your garage into a smoke show, or even worse, it might mean your crankcase pressure's off, your gasket's cooked, or your drain plug threads are hanging on by their last molecule of aluminum. And yeah, sometimes it is just a weepy gasket. But do you really want to find out which kind of leak it is after you high side on a corner? The rule? Don't normalize leaks. Trace them, clean the area, start the bike, and figure out where it's coming from. Valve cover? Cool, fixable. Oil filter gasket? Easy. But if it's coming from a case seam, shaft seal, or behind the front sprocket cover, you might be looking at a bigger problem than you thought. Riding with an active leak is like playing Russian roulette with your tires, your brakes, and your dignity. Don't wait until the guy behind you pulls up at a red light yelling, "Dude, your bike's bleeding." Fix it early. Your engine and your pants will thank you. Number 4. Don't ride with a helmet that doesn't fit perfectly. Let's be honest, when you first start riding, picking a helmet is more about what looks cool than what fits right. You try one on in the store, it feels fine, and you roll with it. But here's the cold truth. A helmet that's even slightly too loose isn't just annoying, it's flat out dangerous. If your helmet shifts when you shoulder check, lifts at highway speed, or lets in enough wind to sound like a leaf blower in your ears, that's not just a comfort issue. That's your brain protection sliding around like a bowl of jelly inside a bucket. A loose helmet won't stay in place during a crash. It'll rotate, shift, and potentially expose your skull at the exact moment you don't want that happening. And even if you never crash, poorly fitting lid causes headaches, fatigue, blurred vision, and hearing damage from the wind noise alone. The rule? Your helmet should fit snug, like a firm handshake on your head. It shouldn't wiggle when you shake your head. Your cheeks should feel compressed. It'll break in over time, so don't size up just to be safe. And for the love of grip tape, stop buying used helmets from strangers online. You don't know if it's been dropped, crashed, or used as a dog bowl. A proper helmet is the cheapest life insurance policy you'll ever buy. Treat it like it matters, because one day, it might be the only thing between you and the pavement. Number 5. Don't treat brake pads like a once-a-season thing. Brake pads are one of those things you assume are fine until they're not. You think, I haven't ridden that much this year, or they felt okay last ride, and then suddenly you're squeezing the lever like you're milking a dry cow and wondering why your stopping distance feels like a school bus. The problem? Pads wear unevenly. Sometimes the inner pad is toast while the outer one still looks decent. Sometimes a sticky caliper eats through one side without you even noticing. And if you wait until you hear the squeal or feel the fade, you've already pushed it too far. And let's not forget that worn pads don't just suck at stopping, they also overheat faster. That means brake fade when you need power the most. Plus, extra stress on your rotors, calipers, and brake fluid. It's a downhill spiral that ends in expensive parts or a close encounter with someone's rear bumper. The rule? Visually inspect your pads every couple weeks, especially if you commute or ride hard. Look at both sides. Use a flashlight if you have to. Learn what your bike's wear indicators look like, and don't ride on the razor's edge. Brake pads are cheap. Hospital bills aren't. And your rotors will thank you too, because once you grind past the friction material, say goodbye to smooth stopping and hello to the sound of metal chewing metal. It's not glamorous maintenance, but it's what separates the real riders from the ones who ride until it squeals. Number 6. Don't ride with mirrors you can't actually use. Mirrors are technically required, but for a lot of riders, they're just there for show. Tucked in, chopped down, bar end, and vibrating so hard they look like a magic eye poster. Some folks treat mirrors like a fashion statement instead of what they really are. Your only eyes behind you. And yeah, I get it, stock mirrors can look goofy. But if you ever tried changing lanes at 80 miles an hour and had to guess if someone's in your blind spot because your mirror shows nothing but your elbow, or a psychedelic blur, you know exactly how dumb that decision can be. The rule? If your mirrors don't give you a clean, stable view of the lane next to you and a slice of what's behind, they're useless. And if they're mounted in a way that makes you dip, duck, or do yoga just to see behind you, you're adding delay to a decision that already happens fast. You don't need massive tractor mirrors sticking out like satellite dishes, but you do need something functional. Adjustable, vibration-resistant, and set up for your real-world riding posture. And don't forget, the faster you ride, the more you need them. Because by the time you shoulder check at high speed, the car that was 2 lanes over is now in your lap. Cool bikes are great, but cool bikes with usable mirrors, they survive longer. Don't be the guy with perfect lane filtering skills and zero idea what's behind him. Number 7. Don't let your turn signals make you look like a rookie. There's nothing more humbling than rolling up to a group of seasoned riders with your blinker still on from 3 blocks ago. It's the motorcycle version of toilet paper stuck to your shoe, and every rider's done it at least once. But if you keep doing it, it stops being funny and starts being dangerous. Unlike cars, most bikes don't have self-canceling turn signals. That means it's on you to turn them off. And if you don't, drivers get confused. Other riders can't read your moves. And worst of all, someone might assume you're about to turn and pull out in front of you. All because your left thumb forgot to hit that switch. The rule? Build the habit. After every turn or lane change, cancel that signal immediately, every single time. Even better, make it a mental rhythm. Signal, act, cancel. Don't wait for a straightaway. Don't assume you'll remember later. Do it right after the move, like muscle memory. And if your switch is stiff, sticky, or unreliable, clean it or replace it. It's a cheap fix that can save you from looking like you borrowed your cousin's bike and don't know what you're doing. Bonus tip, if you ride with others, nothing screams newbie louder than cruising with a blinker flashing like a forgotten SOS. You'll get the head tap, the hand wave, the polite point, and then the jokes at the next stop. So cancel it, ride sharp, and don't give traffic any mixed signals. Literally. Number 8. Don't let cold tires trick you into overconfidence. It's a sunny morning, the road's dry, you feel good. So you roll out of the driveway and take that first corner like you've already ridden 50 miles. And that's when your rear tire steps out just enough to remind you, grip doesn't come standard. It comes with heat. Cold tires are slick. Even the best rubber in the world needs a few miles to warm up and get sticky. On cool mornings, shaded roads, or after letting the bike sit for a while, your traction is nowhere near what you think it is. The worst part is that the bike feels fine at first. You get fooled into thinking everything's dialed in until you lean just a little too far, hit a painted line, or touch the throttle mid-turn. That's when you feel that little slip. Maybe it catches, maybe it doesn't. Either way, it's your wake-up call. The rule? First few miles, chill out. Ride like the road's been buttered. Keep it upright, keep the lean angles modest, and don't hammer the throttle. Let the tires come up to temp before you start pushing it, even if you're late, even if it's your favorite twisty road, even if you never had a problem before. Tire compounds are designed to work in a certain temperature range. Outside that range, you're riding on glorified plastic. So respect the warm-up. Your tires are the only thing connecting you to the ground. Give them a minute to show up to work before you start making demands. Number 9. Don't assume LED bulbs make you safer by default. A lot of riders swip out their halogen bulbs for LEDs thinking brighter must mean safer. And yeah, LEDs can improve visibility. But if you install the wrong type, aim them poorly, or cheap out on quality, all you're really doing is blinding everyone else while seeing less yourself. Here's a kicker. Most motorcycle headlight housings aren't designed for LEDs, so when you jam one in there and call it the day, the beam pattern usually goes to hell. Instead of a focused spread on the road, you get scatter, hot spots, dark patches, and a light that looks bright to you but doesn't actually help you see further down the road. Worse yet, drivers coming the other way. They're staring straight into an overdriven disco ball. And if they're squinting or flashing you constantly, guess what? You made yourself less safe, not more. The rule? If you're gonna upgrade to LEDs, do it right. Use a bulb that's designed for your housing, or swap the whole assembly for one that's actually made for LED optics. Aim it properly, test it at night, and don't just stand 5 feet in front of it and say, "Yup, looks bright." Get on the bike and see what the road actually looks like at speed. Bright is good, but usable is better. And blinding oncoming traffic doesn't make you safer, makes you a hazard. Ride smart, light smart, and don't let a cheap Amazon bulb become your nighttime liability. Number 10. Don't ride in the center of the lane like you're in a car. If you're cruising down the middle of the lane like it's a highway lane in your Toyota, you're asking for two things: junk on your tires and a hard lesson in oil slick physics. The center of a car lane is where all the drips, leaks, and grime collect. Transmission fluid, coolant, diesel, oil. Decades of filth accumulate right where motorcycle newbies think they should ride. And the worst part, you don't always see it. You feel it. When your rear tire slides under braking or your front washes out mid-turn because you rode through somebody's 20-year-old blown head gasket. The rule? Ride in the tire tracks, either left or right of center, where the actual car tires keep the road surface cleaner and offer more traction. Which track you choose depends on the situation. Left gives you visibility, right gives you space, but either gives you a better shot than playing roulette in the oil strip. It's also a visibility game. Sticking to a tire track makes your lane position dynamic. You can shift slightly to communicate intent, get a clear view of traffic, or avoid debris, all while staying within your lane. The middle, it's a dead zone, literally and figuratively. This is one of those habits that feels harmless until the day it isn't. One emergency stop on a greasy patch and you'll understand exactly why seasoned riders stay out of the center groove. Pick your track, own your space, and leave the sludge to the cars. Number 11. Don't forget that fuel range lies to you. Most modern bikes come with a fuel gauge. Some even have a fancy range to empty readout that tries to predict how far you can go before you're huffing it in your boots. And while that's a nice feature, there's one problem. It lies. Repeatedly. And often when you need it the most. Here's why. Fuel range is a guess, not a promise. It's based on recent riding conditions, your throttle use, your average speed, even the terrain. So if you've been cruising at 60 on a flat road, your bike might tell you there's 50 miles left. But hit a hill, twist the throttle, or run into headwinds, that number drops fast. And if you're not paying attention, you'll end up coasting to a stop with a confused look and a silent engine. Some bikes don't even have a real fuel gauge, just a low fuel light that turns on somewhere between still fine and you got 3 sips left. And even if your gauge seems accurate most of the time, it's easy to get lazy and start trusting it like gospel. The rule? Don't ride on faith. Know your tank capacity. Know your average miles per gallon. Reset your trip meter every fill up and track it yourself. That way, if your dash says 40 miles left, but your math says it's more like 20, trust your brain, not the blinking display. Running out of gas on a motorcycle isn't just annoying, it's dangerous. No shoulder, no warning, and no easy way to push it safely. Trust the math, not the meter. Some rules are written in manuals. Others, you only learn after you've limped home, patched up your bike, or sat on the side of the road thinking, well, that was stupid. So if you saw yourself in a few of these, good. That means you're learning the easy way, not the expensive one. Got a rule you learned too late? Drop it in the comments. I guarantee it'll help someone else. And if you're still here, hit that like button, subscribe for more real-world wisdom, and remember, the best riders aren't the fastest. They're the ones who stop making the same mistakes twice. Ride smart, ride often. See you out there.